Hi, welcome to the Squeeze Box. I'm over here with Brian, and we just watched, which both of us had already seen it before, but we both just watched The Lighthouse with William Pattinson. That's how you say his name, right? Pattinson?
Robert Pattinson.
Ooh.
And Willem Dafoe.
We're going to have to do another take. Hi, welcome to the Squeeze Box. I'm here with Brian, and we just watched The Lighthouse with William Dafoe
And Robert Pattinson.
And we put together a few questions about the movie, having already seen it. So obviously, spoiler alert, if you're watching this video and you haven't seen the movie and you want to see the movie and you don't want it spoiled, obviously, don't watch the movie yet. Watch this show yet. Watch the movie first. Excuse me. So we're going to go over and kind of get started here. So, what was your favorite scene?
I would say it would be like a continuation of Robert Pattinson's of his nightmares, or of his constant sleepwalking, if you refer calling it that, because there are sequences where he's seeing stuff from his past, and as we go forward, you find out like what his occupation was before he was what they call a lighthouse worker, wiki.
Yeah.
So. Okay.
Interesting. I would say my favorite scene, I don't know. I think he opened up about his past before this, but the scene where they like eventually just get extremely drunk and then they start fighting and then they're dancing slow and then that was a moment. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, possibly
open up a little bit of a homoeroticism there, like the one that they had before with what they were about to do. Like, they start getting into a fight after, like, Willem Dafoe tries to kiss Robert Pattinson, and he pushes him away, and then he starts putting his fists up, ready to fight. That is a clear notion of homoeroticism.
Yeah. What do I think the film is trying to tell me? The toil of mankind, all of those things that he did, and in the long run, he didn't make it any further because William Dafoe's character essentially stripped him of that, and there was nothing he could really do about it.
Yeah.
And not to mention, he eventually even stripped him of his sanity. So it's almost like William Dafoe is the force of nature that's always trying to push mankind to insanity. You always have to resist, though, right?
Yeah, always has. That is a good point. Well, what is the lighthouse trying to tell me? Well, I guess I would just have to repeat your answer there, because what are we? Because we're in a pandemic now, so what are we all like facing against with? And it's this worldwide deadly virus, and it's it's trying to push us further, and I think it has pushed us toward the edge of all of us losing our sanity.
Yeah, I can agree with that. So, sorry, I had something in my eye there. What was the creepiest scene?
I think the creepiest scene for me was when Willem Dafoe would be up in the lighthouse and Robert Pattinson is looking up, and you see stuff trickling down, and he's making orgasmic moans, and I'm wondering, like, is he is he jerking off to the light? And then like and then then all of a sudden you start seeing tentacles waving about, and like, oh my god. Yeah, I think for me that was like the creepiest scene when I first saw that.
It's almost like in Galaxy Quest, whenever that one guy ended up falling in love with the little tentacle creature.
Yeah.
I would say I'll agree with you that was the creepiest scene. It was just super weird. Definitely an honorable mention is the one where Robert Pattinson is like kneeling on the ground or something like that. I think he saw the mermaid, I want to say, and then William Dafoe touches him on his shoulder, and he's butt naked, and he like opens his eyes and mouth, and just light comes out. It's like that was a really creepy and weird scene.
Yeah, that's based off a real life painting.
Yeah. So number 4.
Fun fact. Like, what do you think is the enchantment of the light?
I'm just going to say, I mean, we already saw Dafoe, and we already saw, we saw some stuff with him, and like, that was a little suspicious. I'm thinking that it is it's a different way of portraying the story of Adam and Eve. I think that it's essentially the knowledge of good and evil, because like when he went and touched that, it was, orgasmic even. It was such an intense thing that, if you think about it, something that mankind in a mythic style tale like we're watching would not know of is like the knowledge of the gods. So I'm thinking that the lighthouse is supposed to represent kind of like the god figure, so to speak, in this fairy tale, essentially.
I agree with that. I'm just going to agree with all the stuff you did, because, like, shit, man.
All right, so what's the deal with the mermaid screams?
Okay, well...
She's a screamer. She's a screamer.
Your mother's quite a screamer, Trebek. Hope we didn't wake you. Well, with legend has it with the mermaid's scream is that the mermaid scream would like sit on a rock, and she would like pretty much like signal sailors to her, but then she's actually like luring sailors to their death if they like if they're en route and their ship would like hit a rock and sink, and they would all eventually drown and die. So that's the
so it's like the siren's call.
Yeah, the siren's call. Yeah, like we're hearing right now.
Yeah.
that happens a lot.
And on that note,
who is the best actor in the film?
All right, I have to caveat this. I'm not saying the other actor was not good, because I think both of them did a good job. I'm just going to have to say, like, Dafoe was just hands down, like, a much... But you figure, to be fair on that, Dafoe's older and has a lot more years experience than Pattinson, so that's why I say Pattinson, I think, did a really good job, and I'm not saying he did bad, but I think Dafoe was the character that I enjoyed the most, and I think it's just specifically because of how just crazy Dafoe is. That guy is something else.
Yeah, like for me, it was all going down to Dafoe, in my opinion, and just like how he picked up the mannerisms and the speech, the accent.
Only when he, crowned in cockle shells, with slithering tentacled tail and steaming beard, take up his fell befinned arm. His coral tined trident screeches banshee-like in the tempest and plunges right through your gullet.
At first, you didn't really know that this movie was going to be done like on the off the shores of the UK. But then you actually noticed that U.S. Lighthouse establishment. So it's obviously like off the northeastern coast of North America, and which in where the time is set, you did tend to hear that accent making the way from the UK up to the North Americas, and people still have that accent.
Yeah.
To this day, people still have that accent.
How long were they on the rock?
How long they've been on the rock? I would have to say probably a month that they've been on the rock.
They were originally supposed to be a month.
Yeah, about a month, and
then they went more than that. So
they went more than that, and then or
at least
there was,
right?
and then there was supposed to be their last night to be on the island.
Yeah,
and
so that would have been day 39 or 29 or
20,
well,
30, 31.
Yeah, something like that.
And they decided to have an all drunker.
Yeah.
And Robert Pattinson thinks that they had slept through the shift change, and
well, I mean, they would have woke him up though.
Yeah, they would have woken him up, but nobody still showed up.
But we did want to mention too, it was a little weird that when the other crew was leaving, like they didn't, I mean, from the movie's standpoint, as far as the viewer's concerned, they didn't say anything to each other. They didn't even gesture to each other as they were leaving. So that was kind of weird. But
yeah.
I don't know. Like, one thing that I've kind of thought, and I mean, this is always kind of one of those, think tank things, like you could do this with any movie.
Mm-hmm.
But what if that lighthouse crew was the very last lighthouse crew to ever go out to that island, and the people that showed up were ghosts all along?
Oh.
And then they were just standing that duty as their punishment for their life's transgressions, which Pattinson said we don't get a clear indication that he certainly killed a guy, but he definitely saw a guy die. Yeah. And then didn't really care too much about it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just saying, like, that's just kind of like a harebrained idea, but that's something I've thought of before with this movie.
Yeah. But I also kind of had an idea burning, like what yours was saying, like, yeah, the two the two other lighthouse shifts were leaving as Pattinson and Dafoe were coming in to start their shift. Like, why they didn't acknowledge them, like, maybe like that was them, like, coming out and like almost like a time lapse. But I know that's kind of a cop out answer, but
I like that. I think though, or I know for a fact that this is based on some sort of a Greek mythical tale. Some of it is. So like the wasn't it Pythagoras, maybe, I want to say, that was killed he died by having seagulls eat his entrails on the rocks, on the rocky crag or something like that.
Okay.
We'll have to look that up, but I want to say I've heard of that. All right, so number 8.
Are you into mermaid porn?
I'm going to have to say that...
Take your time.
I didn't know that genre existed prior to this movie, but...
Well, you could say The Little Mermaid. I mean...
The only thing I saw there was some priest in his robe.
It's like that.
Priest. Jeez. At least he was happy for their joyous union.
That wasn't his knee. What Disney tries to claim.
It wasn't his knee.
And if you do remember looking at the original VHS box, that's a golden penis on it, on the castle.
I'm gonna have to go with a pass for myself.
Pass.
I'm just saying, like, you could imagine, the colorful labia just kind of wafting you in, but that, like, when something's colorful on the outside, it's got teeth on the inside. It's probably gonna bite you.
Yeah,
it's gonna kill you.
Yeah, like vagina teeth.
Yeah, snap onto you and then drag you under.
Yeah.
Into the abyss.
Yeah, hard pass for me.
So to speak.
Yeah.
All right, so what was with the Kraken? William Dafoe, a couple times, kind of turned into a Kraken or something. Was he like the Kraken in human form? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe he was the jailkeeper. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, that
because he is the one who kept. Because he is like the only one who has the keys, and not Robert Pattinson.
He has the keys to the knowledge.
He has the keys.
Well, which, if you want to believe that the lighthouse represents knowledge, it may not. Maybe the writers intended something different, but that's just what I thought. Sorry, we had some camera issues. We're just going back to one camera, and we're going to finish this up with the last question. So the last question is, was the seagull the start of the end, or would it have happened anyway?
I think it would have happened anyway, because they are at sea. You have hurricanes, you have high tide waves, and high winds, but kind of going back, but also going back to this is sort of based on a Greek myth. So I am leaning towards that too, but just going from a literal standpoint, I think it would just happened anyway.
Okay. I think that it would have also happened anyway, because I kind of have the crazy idea that this is supposed to be some form of either hell or purgatory, like they're kind of
or
redoing this story that we've heard in mythos for
like the spiritual
thousands
plane,
of years, and it's a cool story. I'm not knocking it, it's an interesting story, but I really feel like it would have happened anyway. But I think that the seagull tipped the plane into chaos. So, like, whenever Dafoe he went over and said, you shouldn't mess with the seabirds or whatever, it's bad luck.
Yeah.
And he told him that, and he did it anyway. And I think that defiance really cost him. Like, that he probably would have had to deal with that stead or whatever, like his job, infinitely anyway, and would have ended up in his death regardless. But maybe he would have lived longer in like kind of a normalcy of doing those crappy jobs for a while instead of getting, it turning really sour and,
Yeah.
spiraling kind of like it did after he killed the goal. So, if you were to give a rating from 0 to 100%, what would you give the movie? And why?
I would definitely give the Lighthouse I would give it a 96% rating. Judging by the contrast to the film, the atmosphere, and just by looking at it from the small camera frame that they chose, and it's not like I would be comparing it to Citizen Kane, but this is definitely a film that I would say Orson Welles would have done in his lifetime. Pretty close, because because if you look at Citizen Kane, he did so much stuff with the camera that nobody had done before, and it was groundbreaking in filmmaking then, and it still is to this day, because people had said then it was like 50 years ahead of its time. So yeah, so 96% for the Lighthouse.
You gonna give a thumbs up on that?
Okay. What percentage would you give the Lighthouse, and why?
So for me, I'm thinking the Lighthouse is probably around a 90%. I'm thinking that the reason that it doesn't, I guess, go beyond that is just because of, I think there were just too many questions that weren't answered. And I understand that, of course, there is symbolism within the movie that can help you come to some of those conclusions. Like I had said, I'm pretty sure, and by all means, put it down in the comments if you know, but I'm pretty sure that this relates in some way to Greek mythology, or I don't think it's Roman mythology. I want to say it's Greek mythology. There's a character that was killed or was dying on a rocky crag, and they had their entrails eaten by seagulls as their fate towards the end. And I want to say it was Prometheus, but I might be incorrect on that. But I just kind of feel that it's good, and it's the same critique that I have of Lost. So like the TV show, and nowhere are these in the same ballpark, but they do have the same critique in a way, because in Lost, I feel like I ended up with more questions than I did answers. And I'm fine with having questions at the end of a movie, that's okay. But I feel like this one was just a bit too much for me to give it anything higher than a 90. That would be my only critique of the movie, is just that I wish they would have kind of given more answer there, or more context. And maybe if I watch it more times, I'll find some of those answers. But for now, it's a 90 for me.
And thumbs up.